The year 2020 was a tough one for individuals and businesses alike. This as countries took stringent measures to stop the spread of COVID-19 through partial lockdown or even total lockdown in some areas. The most hit were the tourism industry and the aviation sector. However, the banking sector remained resilient, with most of the banks posting profits for the period.
For instance, the total comprehensive income posted by the Standard Chartered Bank for the period was slightly over 90 billion shillings, a drop of around 60 billion shillings from 152 billion they made in 2019. Diamond Trust Bank profit before taxes dropped by 3 billion shillings to 16 billion shillings in 2020 from the 19 billion they made for the shareholders in 2019.
I sat down with economist Ramadan Gobi to understand why this sector remained special.
When you look at the deposit portfolio, it grew. Now, when banks stayed with this money, they, of course, invested it. They invested it in a government paper because governments under COVID have been actually borrowing more. So the banks increased their portfolio they were lending to government.
The reasoning is confirmed in a Bank of Uganda annual report for the period 2019-20, which shows that commercial banks registered strong growth from 30 trillion shillings to 35 trillion shillings. And holding of government securities in form of bonds and treasury bills rose by 16% to 7.7 trillion shillings.
The flourishing of the banking sector is attributed first to the government decision to allow it to remain open during the partial lockdown, as well as the free movement of goods from within the country and outside.
We saw the advance of loans to business community not affected much. Most banks actually, if you go and look at their financial reports, you'll find that they continued advancing loans, especially the business community that is engaged in international trade, because cargo remained open.
Gobi adds that most of these banks that posted profits during the period do not rely on small and medium enterprises, which could have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
When it comes to the real businesses banks lend to, they are really the businesses which remained operational. These other businesses which collapsed or failed to do business during lockdown, vendors, the kiosks around, and they don't borrow from banks. So the banks were not affected by so much.
The situation is anticipated to be better this year and in the near future for the banking sector.
When economies are recovering, the financial sector is the first one to benefit because everybody goes to the financial sector to get money. They are the ones also who manage the stimulus packages. This money passes through the financial system, not for free. For them, they make the money.
Jackson Onyango, reporting for NTV.